Alright, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to try to film this like I used to film them, so I'm not going to fast forward everything. I'm going to take all these camper panels off. I've already got all the seams close and marked some indicator lines so I know where to fit the panels back up when I weld it. This is the section that I'm the most worried about. Up here, there's a curve to it, and they're not exactly perfect. So hopefully they fit back up and everything turns out okay. It is what it is. I'm not redoing it. There's even like this side matches up a little better than this side, but I don't have a bead roller, so I can't fix it. But I think all I'm gonna do today is get the panels off and insulate the front of the camper. I don't think the insulation did a whole lot. Not to lie, on this last camping trip it was unreal cold. So I think the sunroof is an issue with heat. So here we go. Here's something else I probably haven't shown you guys, but I got this crack on my panel. So I used some JB Weld and just put it on there, but not amazing, but I just trying to make sure it doesn't leak inside. But this is what it looks like in the front without the paneling on. I just kind of left that a little loose because I knew the front would cover it, but hopefully it's not too hard to put insulation on. I'm just gonna have to cut the foil and let that wrap around the front. So. Well, if you didn't see the last video when I did insulation, I want this insulation real tight in here because of this wood structure, and it's just held together by staples that are run through here. The staples are really strong, don't get me wrong, but it's got a lot of flex to it. So if I keep the insulation tight, it'll have to resist the insulation, which will keep it a little tighter, maybe a little quieter. It seemed quieter just on the last trip to Joshua Tree. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. Super fun. But all these holes are different, and I didn't make this frame. Even I did kind of modify it, but I didn't make it originally, so I can't just trust that everything's the same in here. So I just want to make sure and measure each opening. So just, 2.5. Whenever I make fabrication stuff, I always want to measure the top and bottom of squares. So a little short up 4 3/8. And I also want to measure. I measure everything and then cut it out of the cab. That way I'm not trying to work in the same area. It's just really hard that way. Just repeat the process throughout the whole thing. When I get up here, I'm going to bend my tape measure, which isn't going to be perfect. I figured this one's going to need the most trimming, for sure. So I'm going to make it a little bit long. I don't want to make a mess in there. I just cleaned the garage today, so I'd like it to last half a day. I have a bunch of these skinny ones, so I'm probably going to try to get those out of the bottom section down here, just to try to save as much cutoffs as I can. This is that saw I was using last time. Hopefully that focuses, but it's just a little tiny saw. It's foam. It's not that hard to cut. I think the biggest trick is trying to keep it perpendicular and not angle out, because then your measurements get a little weird. Like I said, it's not a big deal. You can kind of jam it in there if you do mess it up a little. So because this panel curves up top, I need this foam board to curve also. So what I'm going to do is go along the back side and cut every probably 2 inches or so, something like that. It's not much of a science here. I'm just kind of hoping it makes the curve. I'm gonna try not to cut all the way through both. If not, it won't stick together and it'll be kind of hard for me to maneuver. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that on the way across. If you keep the blade angled enough and don't do this, you can decide where your depth is here on the outside, and then just kind of stick with that same angle. That way you don't risk cutting all the way through. And then what that does is it lets me break this into a transition so that I can make this corner. Hopefully I can get it to fit. See, I did this with the small piece first, just because if I mess up, I would like it not to be unreal hard to fix. So yeah, I'm definitely way longer than I need to be, which is kind of the problem with doing it this way. Which is not a big deal. I'll just go back and cut this bottom off. Now I know. So it's a little looser than I want, but the way you have to put it in, it kind of has to be loose. So, you know, it's in there. The panel will push up against it, so hopefully it doesn't vibrate or rattle too much anyway. But I'm going to take this back off so that I can put this up against the longer piece and cut that one also. Alright, here's the insulation all put up there. Hopefully you can see that okay. Me pushing those in wasn't really that important, so I tried to edit it to be funny, but it didn't look amazing. So that's what all the insulation looks like up there. I'm going to pull this panel off so I can make some templates. So I can kind of sketch up what the mural is going to look like. I've been welding up this front panel. This is the backside weld. I didn't use filler on it. I just wanted to melt it and make sure the seam was okay. Not the best welding, but it worked. Sometimes on aluminum, especially this 40,000s, which is real thin, it's hard to get it hot and not blow through. So I kind of get a weld on the front, and then you can just dig in and melt it real hot on the backside, and you don't have to worry about it blowing through holes. So next I got to grind it down, but you can kind of see whenever you weld, hopefully you can see that, it kind of gives it a divot, so I'm going to have to hammer and dolly that a lot just to straighten it up. I will say the worst part about this panel is clamping it together to weld it was horrible. I just don't have a table. I don't have a nice welding table like all the fancy guys. So I just had to prop it up and clamp and kind of tack and then move it around. And I just want to make sure I didn't have an issue like I did last time where I tacked all the corners and then the last piece didn't really fit up well. I wanted to clamp it all together, get it all tacked, make sure everything was fine, and then fully weld it. So next is grinding. Basically, I'm using this die grinder. That's a little Velcro foam pad. I think that's 80 grit. So the welds, after I grinded them with the angle grinder, kind of look like this. And I know I'm not zoomed in very well, but you can kind of see that ridge on the sides. That's what I really want to knock down. So I just kind of knock it down and then switch grits. This one is all done. Not perfect, but works for me. I'm happy that this thing is finally welded up. I've been making templates for drawing the mural on this panel. So I got online and found some pictures of some things I want in my mural, and I'm gonna start doing like a colored pencil sketch, and go from there. Make sure it's all the size, make sure I can fit the things I want to fit in there, and then hopefully start prepping the panels for paint, acrylic painting. I'm gonna do a whole different section on that. I'm really not a good painter, but I like doing artwork. I just am ready to try it out, and then if people come around and people are good at painting, maybe they'll paint on it a little bit. I'm sure this will be like a long process. Painting does not seem very quick, and I really like detail in all my artwork, so that means this it's probably like 15-foot long mural. It's gonna take forever. So hope you guys liked it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you guys think I should have in the mural. I have some ideas about like the Big Sur bridge, some old gas stations, and this 37 Chevy truck, which is probably my favorite truck. I want that in there, and like the St. Louis Arch, and the hotel I really like in Springfield, where I'm from, and it's the Woodward Camp out in Pennsylvania, where I lived at forever. So I'm gonna have a little bikes in there, little trucks in there, some scenery, the Colorado mountains. The mural's gonna move from East Coast to West Coast, so make sure to check it out. Later.